Look at all this loot! DJ, none for you! Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and I'm still a shameless fan of free stuff, and this was recently sent to me by Lytake.com. I asked them for a prophecy, and they said, surely you'd rather have a swordfish, they're so hot right now, and I said, yeah, go ahead and send me one. So they sent me the swordfish, which, as we all are probably fully aware, is a strife. There are a few cosmetic differences and functional differences, but for all intents and purposes, it's a strife, and it is lovely. A couple of structural differences. The handle is, in my opinion, incredibly comfortable for me because I have large hands, and this is a large handle, and it doesn't have the notch in the bottom. It is straight. It doesn't have like finger indents, which tend to never line up properly with my hands. Even with my big hands, this fits beautifully. The fact that it doesn't have that notch will come up. We will mention that. Other things that it comes with, it does have an extended mag release automatically. It comes with the trigger, rev trigger, a semi-auto pusher, but it doesn't come with flywheels, cage, or motor. Those you have to get separately, or I'm sure they sell kits with it in it, but the one they sent me did not. It does have a switch here that I have no idea what it's for. Presumably they will eventually release kits for this, full auto kits, semi-auto kits, select fire kits, who knows, that will utilize this switch. If you look on the inside, there are screw holes for it that I don't know what exactly they're for. We'll find out later. There is a notch here to interact with that. Who knows? There's all sorts of screw holes that don't currently line up with anything that were presumably intended for future kits that they're going to come out with, which is really, really cool. That they put this out first, let us all have fun with it, play with it, and then they'll start releasing kits for it. I don't know if current select fire or full auto kits work. They might, and I will probably look into that in the near future. Not with the builds and tests that I plan to run today, but definitely want to look into that. I'm sure people already have, and the answer is well known, and I'm just behind the times. But, again, lots of screw posts that don't currently do anything. So presumably there will be loads of kits. There may already be kits, and again, I'm behind the times. I should try to keep up with that sort of stuff. But let's compare it to a regular strife. So we say it's a strife, and it's from Worker, so presumably they would design it so that it would work with all their existing kits. And for a vast majority of them, it does. If you put this over the top of a strife, it lines up almost perfectly. The stock mount is in the exact same place. The barrel mount is in the exact same place. This lower rail section is in the exact same place, so any kits that slid onto that. The top rail lines up exactly, and it is full rail. There's no jam door, and it is full top rail, but it is standard Nerf rail. Doesn't have any locking nubs, but you could obviously put the Picatinny rails that they have. The stock lines up and has the same gap here. It's a little bit different in the back, but that really shouldn't make any difference. The grip is the one place that it deviates the most, but we will see how they have dealt with at least one issue that brings up. But yeah, it will use just about any of the existing Worker kits. The kits that it won't use, obviously, are ones that interfaced with this. So anything that had like a thumb hole stock that came down and locked onto here isn't going to work. Now, one kit that did use that will still work is their Vector kit. And that is because they provide you with an adapter. So you take the normal part of the Chris Vector kit that would have locked onto the bottom of the grip, and you replace it with this part. And it clips into the bottom so that you can still use their Vector kits, which are obviously one of their most popular kits. So that is pretty cool. They provide you with the little screws, and all the screws, and a little tool that you may or may not need, and it is pretty awesome. Now, I have already put a kit in here. It will accept any of the standard Strife flywheel cages. That fits in perfectly, and if you use the high amp triggers switches that they tend to use and that Out of Dart sells, it actually has screw posts that allows you to mount it directly to the back here. It also looks like that's probably the distance between these two and these two. So they're probably eventually going to have switches that go in these locations for various kits that they come out with. Again, they may already have, and I just haven't been paying attention. But it looks like there are screw mounts for switches there and there at the very least, possibly for a 3-switch full auto kit. which would be pretty groovy. There's also, looks like there's screw mounts right here behind the trigger for you to be able to mount a fourth switch. So all sorts of potential with all of that. I mentioned that there is no jam door, and instead they have this plate. I don't know how well it's actually going to show up on camera, but it acts as an anti-jam device. Darts can't pop out of the top of the magazine because they get in the way of this. It also means that there is a huge cable area up here for cables and, again, potential kits and who knows what else. It makes wiring this so much easier than the Strife in a lot of ways, and I absolutely love how they have done that. So that is absolutely fantastic. My one complaint, of course, is I'm not a huge fan of clear. So we're going to do something about that, and I am going to do some experiments. Now, the cage that I put in here is the gold canted cage that a fan sent me a while back, as well as the wheels for that, and then I've put those black End War exclusive Michelle 2 motors in there that I got, and it looks absolutely fantastic. You can see all the wiring, you can see the motors, you can see the flywheel cage. Unfortunately, this cage performs decidedly subpar. I was getting between 80 and 100 FPS, and it should definitely be better than that. So, for the video that's going to follow this one, I'm going to be experimenting with some new motors that I was sent by some awesome folk, and we will see if we can't get some decent performance out of this. And once that is done, I will probably replace the canted flywheel cage with a straight cage, and we'll see how much of a difference that makes. I'll probably replace the wheels as well. It currently has smooth aluminum wheels on there, and that's just not getting the velocities that we would like. Probably because those motors are just too good and it's not getting good enough grip. So we will try different flywheel cage and flywheels, same motors, and we will see if we can't get some better performance out of this particular blaster. This blaster is going to become my test blaster for the future. I will be using this for testing motors and cages and flywheels and stuff, because another one of the neat features, the differences between this one and the Strife, is the Strife, the screw holes were just a little too small in some cases for a standard #1 Phillips screwdriver, which is the screw head that I have on my cordless that's currently recharging. This one has the larger screw ports. It will fit into all the screw ports, and so you can use a better screwdriver rather than having to go to a smaller one that risks stripping out the heads. So everything about this is a wonderful improvement. The handle has kind of a fish scale pattern that I really like because it gives you grip. It also has that swordfish, I don't know, once again, if it's going to show up. You can kind of see it when the light shines over it. An actual swordfish emblem, which is pretty groovy. Alright, I think that's just about all I can say about this. They do have an extended battery door. Out of Darts carries it. I ordered it from him. I also ordered some other parts to build a full kit around this. And then I'm going to use a technique that I learned from my friend JJ to make it match my idiom, if you will. The regular battery door, of course, holds regular AA's. If you wanted to use the LIFE PO batteries, the IFRs that they sell, that Worker and NF Strike and those folks sell to go with their various kits. Or you can route it out and put a LiPo in there, which is what I will be doing. I don't know if this door will fit the 3S that I have, because I'm going to be trying some 3S motors. I do plan to have both attachment points, both the JST that I use for my 2S LiPos, as well as XT60 for the 3S that I'll be using. So that will be some interesting modularity. Eventually I would like to put a full auto kit in it, probably, though I'm going to wait and see what kind of kits they come out with for it, rather than trying my own, just because I think that'll be neat. So there you have the Swordfish. I think this is going to allow for a lot of very interesting upgrades. It is about the same cost as a Strife is new, but doesn't come fully functional, so you're going to have to buy your flywheel cages and all of that, but you have to do that when you buy a stock Strife. So they made it clear, and I approve of that choice. I know I'm not a big fan of clear, and a lot of people aren't, but it is obviously possible to paint it whatever color you want, and it isn't possible to paint it clear if it didn't come clear. So they started with the clear option, and then you can paint over it if you don't like it, as opposed to people who like clear. because they couldn't take a non-clear blaster and make it clear. So I approve of their choice of that. It does seem like a really good plastic. It's not too rigid. Often clear plastics tend to be a little bit more brittle. They don't seem to have that problem as far as I can tell. I like the exterior. It looks like they've got a little smooth spot there, as if there's supposed to be something that goes there. Maybe they'll have a voltmeter or something that goes right there. Like I said, they've clearly designed it with their own kits in mind, and I'm really looking forward to what they come out with. So I am going to go do some cosmetic modding to this before I use it in the next video. So there's my thoughts on the Swordfish. It's fantastic. I like it. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. It looks like it'll work with all of the existing Strife kits and parts, with the exception of some thumbhole stocks. And it's lovely. So there you have it. Thank you, Lightake, so much for sending me this. I will have the links to their stuff down in the description. And thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I've managed to turn off the auto adjust and followy thing that was terrible. We'll find out when I go to edit this.